Welcome to another edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto, Willies, your host. Welcome to another great day. Actually, for folks in California, it is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. We'll give a little soliloquy, but before, let me go ahead and say hello to all our great folks. Welcome aboard AVQ from Brooklyn, New York. Welcome aboard Patrick Magner from Houston. Welcome aboard in the house. We also have Bridge MCP from Binghamton, New York. Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. We also have in the house Joe from LA. How is it going, Joe? I know the fire was close to you, but you got saved. Are you okay for tonight as well when those winds pick up again? Welcome aboard again, Joe. Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita. And of course, there's Lee Grant from Montgomery County. As more people come in, please go ahead and, where is my screen? Let's see. I don't know. It should be on. Okay, I see the screen. Let's see. Lee Grant, prayers, Rudnin, I believe, screen. Okay, the screen is on as I am seeing it on YouTube right now, and I'm seeing it on Substack. But where is it not showing? Let me know where is it not showing, folks. Let me know where it's not showing if that is still the case. Okay. Anyway, folks, we are going to have a great show for you today. Look, this is what gets me. This really gets me. We see the storms that are hitting Florida, the storms that are hitting Texas, the deluge that's happening in the middle of the country. We're also seeing the devastating fires in California. LA is being devastated, home after home. My sister, I called her last night. She had to move out of her home in Pasadena. Wait a minute. Did I get a little something on my forgive that thing, that little mark on my shoulder. I didn't see that before I came on. It must be some sort of a powder thing. Anyhow, it turns out that she had to move out of her home, and she's concerned that, I haven't spoken to her today yet to see if she still has her home in Pasadena. We'll find out. But this is a catastrophe. And today we got, let me see how to put this. His funeral was today. And one of the things that a lot of people didn't know is how much he did to try to advance less reliance on fossil fuel and the movement towards green energy. That was Carter's dream. And that is 1976. How long ago was that? 24 plus 24. 48 years. We have been fighting this battle to bleed us off of fossil fuel. He placed solar panels on the White House. He created a program known as Sin Fuels. He passed a lot of laws to promote good environmentalism, to promote green energy. And the oligarchs and the backward thinking billionaires, well, now they're billionaires, paid off politicians over the decades to stop that. Imagine if we had continued on Carter's path. 48 years, almost 5 decades. If we had made that a priority of the United States and the rest of the world followed, reducing the amount of stuff we threw into the atmosphere, the things that we know for a fact now created storms or made storms worse, made the weather patterns in California worse that are burning down homes, right? These guys did it to save money for the few who had been vested in the oil industries and in other polluting industries. Let me wager something for all of you. Remember how capitalism works, right? Their goal is to do anything to maximize the profit of their current shareholders. So if it means paying off politicians to ensure that policies doesn't get done, if it means paying off anybody, buying up companies, if it means, even as Exxon knew that their product was creating enough stuff in the air to change the climate, they have it written down. Their own researchers say that. But they kept these things quiet. Why? Because the executives of the corporations, their goal is to maximize the profits of their shareholders. I'm going to play something that I did on capitalism this morning, and then we'll proceed, because I want folks to understand. Think about all the money that these people are going to have to spend on their own money. But I'll talk about that later. I want you to listen to this piece I did this morning on capitalism. But I want to touch on something that Jack talked about capitalism, because there are some people who complain a lot when I make commentary on capitalism as if I am un-American in saying this system has not worked for most, because again, it's a set of facades. I want to be very, very clear to all of those who email me and accuse me of being un-American. I am as red-blooded as American now as you are. This is a country where a lot of people came in and form about. Now, that doesn't, and let me also state about capitalism. I am 100% pro-democracy and 100% pro-free enterprise. Free enterprise meaning everybody has the freedom to create their own business enterprise, to make income, make profits. I am for all of that. What the lie that has been told to us since our inception is that there was some relationship between this, a type of economic system called capitalism, and we, from Nancy Pelosi to everybody else, tries to equate that to freedom, tries to equate that to democracy, and try to equate that to being free. It is completely false. If you listen to what Jack had to say about how things work, how when capital comes in or when the industry comes in, they take advantage. All of that is true and by design, and they're doing what they're supposed to do. Milton Friedman, the second god of capitalism, pointed out that the sole purpose of the executives in corporations is to maximize shareholder value. It says nothing about environment. It says nothing about humanity. It says nothing about illness. It says nothing about healthcare. It says nothing about any of these things. So capitalism as a model the executives who execute that model must do everything to maximize shareholder value. And what are shareholders? Shareholders are the people who own pieces of any business enterprise. And that business, in other words, if I own a share, I own a piece of that business, and the executors of that business, their responsibility is to make me a profit however they need to. What that means is, by design, every business defaults into a monopoly. Because if I want to maximize my business, the goal is to make sure my competition disappears, because that's how I get maximal profits. That is by design. You can go to business school and they will try to give you all kinds of fancy words to tell you the same. I have a series coming out called with Patrick Lovell talks about the billionaire and how they took $71 trillion out of our economy. What we want is, as opposed to capitalism being on the top of the tree, we want free enterprise being at the top of the tree. For people who want to execute capitalism, that can be one thread in that series, in that tree. But don't be fooled. All the income inequality and wealth disparity that we are seeing here, it's not an accident. It's by design. It's a mathematical formula that governs capitalism. And the results is everything you heard Brother Jack Van Beber articulate, and that you hear everybody who complains about our economic system says. It is nothing more. It is nothing more than antiseptic slavery, because there are a whole bunch of people, there's a small number of people who buy up pieces of companies' property who's executed by the workers, okay? And the workers themselves, whenever you hear somebody say, my money worked for me, the shareholders' money is working for them, what they mean is that they have the little peon slaves doing the jobs that earns them a profit. And I'm ready to take any comment on that over the phone whenever you'd like to.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to part.
Excellent. So, folks, here's how a simple way of putting it. Because in 1970s, look, the oil companies knew that climate change based on burning carbon fuels was changing. They knew the climate was changing because of the work that they did. They knew that. Okay. Now remember, the air goes everywhere. So one person can't say, well, I want to burn, I won't burn, because your pollution affects everybody. Now they knew that. We could have gotten, starting with Carter, laws passed to create that sustained gradual reduction in polluting the air with carbonizing the air. At the same time, over 48 years now, we could have created, just like we had the Apollo program that in 10 years, we got somebody to the moon. We could have accelerated a program that would have created a lot of jobs, at the same time cleaned up the environment, at the same time created clean energy. The issue with capitalism is this. All those people who own the old industries, they have to amortize what they invested in. So even the tenets of capitalism, they don't want to apply. In other words, if you made your bet on dirty energy and stuff that's going to mess with the planet, that was a bad bet. You should lose your investment. But that's not how they see it. They see the other section of capitalism that says maximize the profits for your shareholders at all cost. So therefore, they don't intend to take the loss for polluting. You know what they did? They passed that loss on to you. So when they put all those carcinogens in the gas tanks, the gas holding tanks at gas stations that go into your water supply and go into the dirt, that creates many cancers. The oil companies don't pay the medical bill for those cancers. You do. When the climate changes because of the product that they use, and that because they prevent others from building products that prevent the need for using that product. And when we get the hurricanes that destroy homes, who pays? You do. You subsidize their ability to dirty up the atmosphere that creates stronger hurricanes. You subsidize them and you pay. You pay the high prices for gasoline, and then you pay the high prices for the destruction that the pollution from gasoline caused. Wow. You are subsidizing the corporations. When I call us antiseptic slaves, I am not kidding. I am saying we pay for everything ultimately. We are the cogs of those who own these companies or profit the most from these companies. When the fires in California burn, more than half of those people won't have insurance covering their homes. So they'll take the loss. So who paid? You paid for them to maintain and continue their pollution, because all these confounded believers, gullible believers in what the media portion of the or the petroleum companies tell them. Because remember, the petroleum scientists, they've already done their research. And they've said, burning our product causes climate change, and this is how many degrees over time that will occur. And as Mr. Ruddin would tell you many times over, we are at that point. Now, are there solutions? Hell yes. Let me give you a whole lot of solutions. If we decided to try to make this a planet problem, a problem that puts the planet in dire straits, let me tell you all the different things that we could do. One, we could have an emergency plan to start decarbonizing the atmosphere. Is the technology there? Yes. Can we put that technology on steroids? Yes. But is it something that capitalism can solve? No. Why not? Because there's no real profit in doing that. You have to have the means of exchange. That would be considered a social program. Capitalism doesn't have a method to do that. Because even when we had COVID, before we could get a COVID vaccine out in the marketplace, all these companies were fighting to decide, how are we going to monetize this the best way? That's what it's all about in capitalism. When you go to an emergency room, what is the first thing that the person comes to? If you are breathing and your eyes are open, they come to you to sign a piece of paper saying, if your insurance company doesn't pay, you are going to pay. Understand what we're saying. Understand what we are saying. I had somebody that called today, and he tried to, the morning show, and he tried to castigate me. And the reason he tried to castigate me is I pointed out that I gave a perfect example that said why masks work, and we had the actual science-based experiments that proved that. And a right-winger calls and says, well, 38 people who took this herpivectin or whatever that quack medicine is, and they survived. And this guy said, how comes you accepted one study and you didn't accept the other? Science. And he got upset because he claimed that whatever the case is, we have to start being science-based, and not only that, take the crocodiles out of our eyes, and we have to stop allowing those people with an interest to make us gullible and work against our own interest. We've got to do it. We've got to do it. All right, Ruddin says the following. Let's see. Okay, there's something he wants me to put on the screen. I have 3 different things to put on the screen, but I'm going to start putting them on the screen in a minute, guys. Let me just go ahead and read some of these notices first. Paul Fleming says President-elect Donald Trump team was given the questions asked by Fox News anchors at an Iowa town hall last January in advance by someone inside the network, according to a forthcoming book, in what would be a serious breach of journalism ethics. But you just mentioned Fox News. Of course, there's a breach of journalism ethics. All right, Michael Ranessa Egberto, it's been known that excess carbon in the atmosphere causes global warming. The conversation for 110 years, climate change has been in the news. Are we finally ready to listen? On August 14, 1912, a small New Zealand newspaper published a short article announcing global coal usage was affecting our planet's temperature. Wow, I didn't even know about that one. Okay, Bridge MCP says Trump team gave homeless people from Greenland a dinner if they would wear a red hat and a green Don Jr. at plane. 3 showed up. Reported by DR Denmark. Even the homeless in Greenland know. No. LOL. Here it is on TikTok. Thank you for providing that, Bridge. I'll see if we can do for. Let's see. Is that a display or what? Or is it a video? Let me see what she brought me from TikTok. Okay. All right. I'll take a look at that after, Bridge. Okay. Continuing. All right. Capitalism is an illogical ledger from the beginning. It willfully ignores an honest look at all cost versus benefit. I'm glad you saw that, Joe, because I pretty much said that. Right? Check this out. We pay for the high prices for the gasoline. They prevent the politicians from passing regulations that brings on green energy, so they continue the pollution. It causes, it intensifies hurricanes, it intensifies fire seasons, and we pay the cost of the insurance if we are lucky, or we pay the cost to rebuild if we're lucky, or we simply go into poverty. It's a shame, but it's our reality. All right, let's go to what Bridge MCP brought to the screen, and that is, here we go. And it goes like this, folks. A guide to Trump's speak. Did you know? I just found this out. Rich really means I just found this out. She also points out, people are saying, it really means I'm making this up. We'll see what happens. Really means I have no idea what's happening. Fake news. This is information makes me look bad. This information makes me look bad. Believe me, which means I am lying. I don't think there is anything better, more expressive than that. All right, let's go to the second video. This is one that I love, right? I pointed out this. Actually, there is a Green Party leader who pretty much said that. Give us Oregon. Give us California. Give us Washington. We'll take all your blue states. And guess what? You can draw around it. But you know what? She forgot. She should have included, I think, Nevada, right? She should have included Nevada, but she couldn't make New Mexico contiguous. So that is kind of problematic. But, you know, I mean, I'm pretty sure if you ask all those people that line draws around, would you like to follow the Canadian rules? I think the people in Washington would say, yes, give me health care. Yes, give me gun control. We'll live longer because we'll have less murders, and we'll live longer because we have better health care. I love that, Bridge. That was an excellent one. All right, let's go to the next one. This one is from Michael Rudnin. Coal consumption affecting climate. The furnaces of the world are now burning about 2 billion tons of coal a year. I needed to make sure that I was getting that right. 2 billion tons of coal a year. When this is burned, united with oxygen, it adds about 7 billion tons of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere yearly. This tends to make the air a more effective blanket for the earth and to raise its temperature. The effect may be considerable in a few centuries. Wow. How did you find that? I didn't know that at all. That was 110 years ago that smart scientists knew that. Wow. That is amazing. All right. Breaking news from Paul Fleming. New Mexico Supreme Court ruling strikes down local abortion restrictions. The ruling preserves access to abortion procedures across a state that has become a major destination for people from other states with bans. Excellent. Let's see what else we've got here. Egberto, it was shared on Blue Sky virally recently. Oh, okay. Thank you for pointing that out, my brother. And Michael says, I wonder what the conservatives in the chat will say about blue state secession. Oh, they'll go berserk, they'll go berserk. But that's okay. We can handle that. Let's see what else. A record 24 million Americans enrolled in the Affordable Care Act during the final enrollment period of the Biden administration. The White House announced Wednesday a 9% jump from the prior year. That is huge. 9% growth in anything relative to the government is huge. All right, I'm going back up the scroll to see if I missed anything. If I missed anything that you guys definitely wanted me to point out, let's go ahead and do it. Okay, I have another piece that I did, I think a couple of days ago on KPFT that I want to play. So I'm going to play that one and then we'll come back to finish up. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that now. Republican proposals to impose a person cap on federal Medicaid funding or turn the government health insurance program for lower income Americans into a block grant would leave millions of people without coverage or care, according to analysis published Tuesday. All right. Remember, what Donald Trump is attempting to do is he wants a big omnibus reconciliation bill. In English, what that means is he wants a bill ready to sign as soon as possible that has all the things that he wants to do right away before we get a chance to analyze what these things would do. Well, of course, we have groups that are looking at what the formulation of these bills are going to look like. And Medicaid is one of the number ones that they're thinking about cutting. Right now, Medicaid spends about $800-something billion a year to take care of the sick. So what is he planning on doing? The Center on Budget and Policy Priorities examined GOP policy proposals, including the per capita funding cap and making Medicaid a block grant, and found that such policies would dramatically change Medicaid's funding structure, deeply cut federal funding, and shift costs and financial risks to states. Who does that affect the most? Sick people, poor people. Where do most of our sick and poor people live? Red states. So who is Trump? Again, because red states depend more on the federal government. Red states are takers from the federal government. These states that claim they're low tax states and that they're great states, they are the beggar states. And where do most of the federal government cuts are going to come from? Programs that they depend on. So who is it going to hurt? The people who voted for Trump. So here we go. Faced with a large and growing reduction in federal funding, states would cut eligibility and benefits, leaving millions of people without health coverage and access to needed care. According to the analysis, many of those losing Medicaid coverage would be left unable to afford life-saving medications, treatment to manage chronic conditions like cardiovascular disease and liver disease, and care for acute illnesses. People with cancer would be diagnosed at early stages, at later stages, and face a higher likelihood of death, and families would have more medical debt and less financial security. A large body of research shows that Medicaid improves health outcomes, prevents premature deaths, and reduces medical debt and the likelihood of catastrophic medical costs. Those are facts. Now, it's also a fact that red states, Louisiana, Mississippi, all these states, Texas, they have poorer health outcomes. Their folks are sicker and their folks are poorer than those blue states. So most of this cut, when we cut Medicaid, etc., will be coming from our MAGA brothers and sisters who most, or if not a whole lot of them in Appalachia and other places, depend on these government services, depend on this to stay healthy, to not completely lose who they are. And what's the first thing that Trump and his minions are talking about? Cutting these programs. Why does he want it? Why does he want it in this omnibus reconciliation bill right away? So that it goes through. Trump has nothing to lose when he offered the big tax cuts to his billionaire friends, to the corporations, to when he offers all the money that Musk is going to get. Musk invested $250 million to get Trump elected. And Musk is already made over $100 billion after Trump has been elected. For, according to Gonzalo, working smarter, according to Egberto, being parasitic. But again, I want you all to realize, I said, you better get remorseful early. All of you who voted for Donald Trump better join up with those who didn't and become remorseful really quickly. Because if you don't get to your Congress people quickly, if you don't let them know that you are following what's occurring quickly, then I guarantee you're going to feel the pain. Block grants to states. Let me give an example. People get sick and populations increase. They intend to give a block grant because they can say, give them and forget it. Right now, as it works, the federal government pays 70% of Medicaid costs on a per person basis. If the bill is XYZ, Medicaid pay whatever portion they need to pay of that bill on a per person basis. Because we don't know who is going to get sick and we don't know how much it's going to cost each individual sick person. But right now, we treat it as the health care of all the people in the country. That's how we handle it, the humane way. But now they are thinking about two options. Either give the states a block grant, give you the money, forget it. You try to figure out how you're going to spend that money, whether you're going to spend it on healthcare or not. You just take that money and that's it. That's what we do. You take that money and it's over. But the other option is to give the people a cap on a per person basis. So if you submit 10 people, each of those people that you submit get X amount of dollars. And that's it. Whether you got cancer or a cold, you get the same. And why are they doing this? That they're not doing this because the health system in America has changed. They're doing this because in order to give these tax cuts to these billionaires, to the wealthy, like Trump promised them, we have videos showing Donald Trump saying, you're going to do a lot better under me. That's why Zuckerberg are sucking up to them. That's why the media is sucking up to him. He's saying, okay, where do we get this money from? We take it away from the poor. We take it away from the middle class. They are expendable. Of course, the rich aren't that smart because if we continue to take from the middle class and the poor, eventually the rich can't stay rich because there's nobody to sustain them. But they're not the smartest cats on the market. They're smart in capitalism, but that's where it ends. So again, you better start being remorseful. The analysis comes as Republicans who control both houses of Congress, and starting on January 20th, the White House, as President-elect Donald Trump takes office, pursue a massive tax cut that would be in part by cutting social programs, including Medicaid. GOP lawmakers are also considering work requirements for Medicaid recipients in order to help pay for the tax cut, which critics argue would primarily benefit the rich people and corporations. So you've got lung cancer, but you are ambulatory. Go to work. Don't go into a state that makes your body more recoverable. Nah, you are just a means of production. You're just a cog, a widget. You're sick. You don't get a chance to convalesce. Get to work. Do you see the humanity? According to a 2024 report by the National Association of State Budget Offices, Medicaid, which along with the related children's health insurance program serves nearly 80 million U.S. adults and minors with limited income and resources, makes up more than half of all federal funding for states. And again, I mentioned red states, the most dependent states, the beggar states. They are the ones that get the most money out of these programs. They are the ones that gave Trump his victory. And they are the ones that Trump will screw first. You get my point? You get my point? Again, you're not going to hear this on Fox News. You're not going to hear this on mainstream media expressed like this, because for all practical purposes, they have started to self-neuter. They have all started to self-neuter. They either lie to you, or they simply stay quiet, or they simply allow the right wing to use our airwaves of their propaganda lying machine. Is that what you want? So Brad called earlier, and he thought he was going to make a comment about, well, look at what Musk has done. And we proved to him without a doubt that, as I've mentioned before, it is true. Musk is a parasite, and he is a further parasite with Doge, as in order for him to fund his companies with government spending, with welfare, he's going to take those away from the people who elected him, elected Trump, but meaning elected Musk. You see my point. Before I go to the phones, I want to point out something else, because it's not only Medicaid that's in trouble because they need to use those funds to give tax cuts. Remember, Biden has made these programs more secure. Brad earlier called and said he was happy that Mr. Musk used Twitter to lie to him. He didn't say it this way, but this is in effect what happened. Mr. Musk used Twitter to lie to him to make him believe that Trump was the better choice. Well, let's look into that a bit. Under the CFPB, what has happened now is medical debt used to affect your credit score. Well, guess what? Medical debt under Biden has been removed from your credit score. So no longer will you have to be concerned about your medical debt, a debt that you just incurred because you got sick will somehow prevent your life from moving forward. And who's opposing that now? Musk and his minions says, that won't stand. They want to repeal that when they come into office. Well, you know what else the CFPB did for you? The CFPB reduced what companies could pay in overdraft fees, predatory data brokers, and medical bills, the way they're handled. So when he talks about Biden not doing the things and somehow Musk and Trump coming in to save you, actually, I'm sorry, they're coming in to destroy you. They don't particularly care about you. It's not about destroying you. It's about just taking it all. And I'm not being hyperbolic here. This is their intent. Biden gave you the CHIPS Act, brought back manufacturing to the country, brought down inflation that started actually with the tariffs imposed by Donald Trump and the supply chain issues created by the corporate structure and the mismanagement of the pandemic. Brought to you by the former President Trump. Biden cleaned it all up, just like Obama had to clean up the mess that was created by Bush with credit default swaps and all of that. Biden had to come in and clean up after Trump. And with the lies and misinformation that were allowed on the Twitter platform and the Zuckerberg platform and all of these, Americans made a mistake again. Yesterday, I was watching this professional, I think he's a stock person, and he said, Americans are interesting people. Whenever they want to clean things up and level the playing field, they elect Democrats, who really meant progressives. And then as soon as progressives get into power and start to equalize and make the playing field level, the wealthy say, we can't make it too level because, we need to be able to have our edge. And they elect, again, those who would do wrong. Folks, a lot of this you're not going to hear on the mainstream media because they can't tell you. They're now bought and paid for by the billionaires. And all you've got now is a hodgepodge of truth tellers. And you're going to have to join that domain of being the truth teller by spreading the word, spreading our blogs, spreading our words, you have to join. You have to be a part of the solution because the corporatocracy will not be. You have to be part of the solution. Everything that I talk about here on this show, you can actually go and verify. And I'll repeat this at every program for all of our newcomers. My goal is simply one thing, the truth, and making sure you're informed and enlightened. I refuse to have my daughter live at Christmas, she said, why is it that immigrants have so much hope? Haven't America taught you enough? And my answer is no, because it's not about America teaching us enough. It's about we taking the tenets of what we want America to be and realizing that we can. You remember when Obama said, yes, you can, yes, we can, all that good stuff? It may have been rhetoric for Obama, but it is truth for a lot of us, and we intend to make it so.
we spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.
Absolutamente. Conjúntase con nosotros. Join, and join. Anyway, folks, please note, we cannot do this. We cannot do this with, one of the things that I've said, and I think I gave you the bushel example. Democracy doesn't work in every country. Democracies can only work with an educated population. I hate to put it that way. When I say educated, I'm not talking somebody who knows differential equations or who understands how to write a derivative or solve an integral or anything like that. I'm talking about people that are aware, people that know civics, people that understand how their government works, people that understand how farming works, why we need farming and industry and all that kind of stuff. So what the GOP is intent on doing is making sure it dumbs down the population. And you see it every day. You just have to turn to Fox News. How they control their people. Somehow Greenland is an issue. Panama is an issue. All these resolved things are issues. What do you think they're doing these things for? They're doing these things to keep you always mad, upset, and wanting to have your eyes on something else as they are pulling the rug from under you, as they are screwing you. And you take it. We have to smarten up. I see some of the comments in our chat, and I let most of them slide because I don't know how folks who write some of the comments aren't embarrassed by what it says about their intellect, what it says about what they know, what it says about their morals. So sometimes it's best. Sometimes quiet is best. Sometimes quiet is best. All right. We still have about 12 minutes to go. If anybody wants to call, the number is 281-823-7747. 281-823-7747. I get mixed up sometimes. There's a different number for the morning show than the afternoon show, because the morning show rings at the studio and I pick it up. They pick it up for me and we do some magic to get it to my studio here. Of course, the number that we do at 3:00 comes directly into my computer system. Anyhow, folks, wow, we hadn't seen that in a while, E2247. Day 461 of the war, 46,006 Gazans killed, 4,278 persons more than day 365. We also have 109,379 wounded, 12,398 persons more than day. So anyhow, thank you for that information. I'll continue to read it afterwards. Hello, my dear, beautiful Joe. How are you doing this afternoon?
Hello, taking has stopped. I'm very well. I'm okay. Well, I have a story.
Before you tell me your story, I want to hear about your well-being. How is your environment?
I'm fine.
How's the smoke? Okay, and the fire. I know the last time you saw the video, it was close to you though. The fire was real close to you that time you sent that video.
Oh, very close. And just yesterday, it was 2 blocks away. Like I was on almost mandatory evacuation, but they rescinded it after 4 p.m.
Okay, great. All right, let me hear your story.
Okay. So I dated a wealthy man who was more than a millionaire for a couple of years, and he had a bowl by his front door. We would take walks in Brentwood, and after we went shopping to the grocery store or restaurant, he would take his change and put it in this bowl by the front door.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one day, he took the change and he put it in a giant Ziploc freezer bag type thing, and he put it in his jacket, and we went to the store to buy groceries. We come out of the store, and he has this bag of change, big fat bag of change, and he goes out the store to the sidewalk, a little bit out of the way, opens the bag, and spins in a circle, distributing all these pennies and nickels and dimes. He kept the quarter in a circle like a sprinkler would distribute water over a lawn. And he giggles, puts the bag in his pocket, grabs my hand and walks away. And I said, what did you just do? This person who needs, I am contributing. No, he's going to have to grab this stuff on his knees in a parking lot with grease. He's going to be tired. Why don't you just set the bag down? And he laughed. He said, I want to make them work for it.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
No, I broke up with him. I'm not kidding.
You have got to be, I mean, folks don't when I talk about
the name of the person, but I'm not going to.
No, don't tell.
I'm not kidding.
By the way, is it a popular actor or something? I'm just curious.
No, not an actor.
Okay. All right. But here's the thing, Joe. If you hear some of our what I think about billionaires and much of the rich, I always call them psychopaths. And sometimes Bruce would tell me, Egberto, you have to be careful with the use of the word psychopath because it has a definition. But I think that perfectly defines a psychopath. First of all, the spare change that he's given out is nothing based on how much he has in its totality.
Nothing.
So what he's doing is he's fun. Right. He was getting pleasure out of seeing beggars get on their knees to pick up these pennies that he was throwing out there. That is a psychopathy.
Right, in big circles, like just throwing them like it's like a cartoon almost. Like I really was ill in my stomach. It was hard not to throw up at what I saw.
Yeah,
it's so sad.
That is shameful. And you know what? Let's be clear here. We see that every day, right? When you hear, and I'm going to use, just so that people don't think I'm not an equal opportunity offender. When you see any of these wealthy people, let's say somebody like even Oprah goes out and says she has several $1 billion. You remember the fire in Hawaii, I don't remember the name of the Hawaii. The thing that pained me the most is I think she said she gave like a $50,000 or something like that, right? I think she had given some amount of money like that, and with the expectation that more people bring more money into the funds, right? And I'm sitting down there thinking, right? I am a part of that. She lives in that community. I'm a part of that community, and there are a lot of these people that are hurting, right? They got burnt out. They don't have anywhere to live, anything like that. And her contribution was, and I may be off by a 10. Even if her contribution was $5 million, it is peanuts, right? Because if you're worth $3-5 billion, there's a big catastrophe that's out there. Hey, how difficult is it to give $500 million to do your part to fix that place up? The same goes with all these other billionaires. The psychopathy is not to see.
Just donate the interest she earns, and it would fix everything.
There you go. And you sit down and you watch. So when you look at your ex-boyfriend, do the pennies out to watch the people fend for it. When I watch all these people on TV making a big issue out of giving, John contributed $50,000 or $10,000 to these poor peons out here. That, whenever I see what they do, it never impresses me as a rich person being benevolent. What I see is a psychopathy. Because first of all, when I look at how people make money, very few of the wealthy have actually earned it, Joe. And this is not wealth envy or anything like that.
You're absolutely correct.
You see,
You're correct.
they have not earned it, and your story tells a bigger story, and it has to do with just about every time you see a rich person go out on TV. Here's the funny part about it: that $50,000 that Oprah gave, or that Bill Gates gave, or that any one of these billionaires give, and the media pick up as a story, they have gotten more propaganda, more advertising cost. In other words, the advertising that they've gotten, the media that they've gotten out of that would have made them more money than they give away. The cheap publicity, that's the word I was looking for. The cheap publicity that they got out of it was more than the amount of money they invested in that donation. And those are the alternate things that a lot of people don't see. And I sit down here and I watch it and I'm like, my God, these people are evil. But, I hear that.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, you're
going on and on and on and on and on.
You're in the fire zone. Anything else you want to add, Joe?
I'm going to go back inside. No, thank you. I just wanted to share that because it's so remarkable. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joe. All right. Anybody else want to give me a call? Number is 281-823-7747. Again, that is 281-823-7747. We have about 2 or 3 minutes that we can talk. Paul Fleming says the survival rates of passengers on the Titanic were first class 62%, third class 41%. Third class 25%. Second class, 41%. The sinking of the Titanic was a stark example of wealth disparities. I mean, we can go over and over and over. And Hayes, it's not the jealousy of the left at all. Again, if you believe that, it tells more about your thinking methodology than anything else, my dear brother. I think I qualified what I'm saying, and I think I qualified what I'm saying, what I've said perfectly so. All right. Anybody else want to call in before we end this baby? It is going to be 281-823-7747. I need to memorize this one like I do the KPFT one, right? 281-823-7747. E2247 says evacuation of more than 180,000 people is reported now. 5 fires eased slightly today, but are expected to strengthen in the evening and into the hour. Okay. Let's see what else we've got here. I think we've got about 1 more minute to go. So what I'll do is I'll use this time to ask all of you who have the wherewithal to do so to please support the program. And how can you support the program? I pull up the wrong screen as usual. You can support the program by either becoming one of our what we call patrons. Actually, you know what? Patrick says superfluous wealth is a curse. I saw, where did I see this? That says after, I saw it's on I played that video with you guys yesterday, where he said, the professor said that incremental wealth doesn't give more happiness. That just proves the point that it is really a psychopath. Most of these people are psychopaths. Paul Fleming says Tesla directors, including Chair Robin Delhomme and James Murdoch, got court approval on Wednesday for a settlement worth up to $919 million. That's almost $1 billion. That requires a return compensation to the car maker to resolve allegations they overpaid themselves. These thugs, I tell you. All right, folks, you can become a patron if you want to help support what we are doing here, which is truth telling. And it's not only this program that we have. We also have books, blogs, Substacks, articles that we put out in the newspapers. It's a whole enterprise to not supplement, because right now the mainstream media is not doing its job. So we put out a lot of information. This is just one part of it. We are also on KPFT 90.1 FM on air. We write in newspapers. We write books, the whole works. If you will support that, politicsandright.com says patron if you'll become a patron, or what I'd love is we need a whole lot more supporters on our Substack. So that's our newsletter. So please consider supporting us at politicsandright.com/newsletter. That is, in fact, our Substack channel. If you do that, you have full access to all of our books. And if you're looking at the screen right now, you'll see all of the books that I'm speaking about. Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man, As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. The other book is How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. It's worth it. How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, as well as Lose Weight and Be Fit Now. And I'm going to write a blog. I just had to when I got back from DC taking care of my daughter, I got very overweight again because I couldn't exercise, I couldn't eat right. And I just pulled up my book and said, you know what, I'm going to go through the same procedure I used with my good old book, the weight loss book that I wrote. That's just the story of how I did it. I'm going to write a blog about that sometime today, maybe. But anyhow, folks, please consider becoming a paid subscriber of our newsletter by going to politicsandright.com/newsletter, or just go onto our Substack and click subscribe. We cannot do this without you. I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies, and you know how I end this baby. I am what?
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.